My name is Cawrse and I'm a composer. So the piece I wrote for the Australian String Quartet is called A Room of Her Own. It's a musical reflection upon Virginia Woolf's essay, A Room of One's Own. So I was early into reading this essay and was really taken by the ideas that Virginia is talking about in the book about what a woman needs to effectively create. There's a strong connection between the music and the text, mostly through the titles of each of the movements. For instance, the first movement is titled Web. And there's a line in Virginia's writing where she describes the idea of creativity as being like a spider's web, where you have these strands or these threads that connect the essence of an idea to the four corners of one's life. And I really responded to that, this idea that when we create something, it's not just us, it's also part of our environment. The second movement is called Epigraph. It's a very short movement where I introduce three main themes from three female composers. What I was imagining when I was putting this short movement together is that if we were to quote a well-known Beethoven work or a well-known work by Chopin, then many of the people listening would click and would recognise what this is and who wrote it and the importance, sort of the gravitas of this particular piece of music. And yet these three works, which were some of the best or the better known pieces by these three female composers, don't have the same knowledge base. We don't necessarily hear them. So I'm in a way asking the question, well, why is this the case? And are we happy about that? And then what can we do to actually change that? I guess in just a small way, I wanted to get listeners thinking about issues of gender parity and the representation of female composers, not just now, but also through history. And get them being curious about what else is out there other than all the absolutely wonderful music by Beethoven and Chopin and the rest of those guys. The third movement is entitled Anon. Virginia Woolf suggests that any piece of art or writing that has been written by Anon was probably written by a woman. I started this movement with the intention of being quite angry. We should be really quite pissed off, really angry at the fact that women have had their voices taken away or their identities and the connection with what they've created sort of removed from them. Interestingly enough, what ended up coming out, I feel, is less angry and more persistent. And I actually think that's probably a better representation of how I feel about the recognition of music by women, that yes, we do write music and yes, it is worthy of a place. The fourth movement is titled Incandescence. The idea here was really quite selfishly to just write something that I found beautiful, to be honest and to be vulnerable about the type of music that I would want to write if I didn't have to think about anything else other than what do I want to create. There's a line in Virginia's text where she talks about being honest with knowing yourself as an artist, and that when you do so, there's sort of this luminous, incandescent quality to the work. So in my piece, I definitely wanted to bring in an awareness of the music of women, which has been somewhat forgotten by history in learning about composition and learning about music. The music that I learnt was very much part of the canon, was very much part of the white male experience of music and composition. And if we were just looking at what I was taught, you would think that women didn't write music. And of course, we know now that that's not the case at all. Yeah, it's an amazing feeling to hear that completed score come to life with performers who've then breathed their own interpretation and life into those notes, and to go, wow, you know, it's something that I've created and something that we've brought into this world together. It's, yeah, nothing beats that feeling. It's wonderful.